All right, Andre, over to you.
All right, I'll share my screen. So, welcome to Fluently Salesforce in September. So yeah, today's topic is about user adoption and all the subtopics that come with it. So it's change management, data quality, and of course, with all those topics, how do the companies and their partners deal with it differently? Because of course, they don't have all the same requirements and capabilities. There's a few things we wrote down. You can see, the user adoption. I'd say let's start at the top. What are sort of good and bad ideas when it comes to the user adoption and what you do or what you not do.
All right, do you want to introduce yourself first, Andre, and then we'll go around the room quickly in 30 seconds and introduce ourselves?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. So yeah, I'm Andre, based in the Netherlands, as a Salesforce consultant for the last 9 years, and yeah, since a few months I'm freelance consultant, so happy with that.
All right, I'm Jodie. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, which is why it's nighttime here, and I've been a partner and MVP for quite a few years now. So I don't know much about this topic we can talk on today, but we can all talk on anything, any part of aspect about Salesforce. So over to you, Ines, please.
Thank you. So I'm Ines Garcia, and yeah, I help organizations to reduce waste of time, of effort, of materials, of energy. And yeah, MVP, and I get involved with trillion things. This is, new adventure for us. Mr. Zandor.
Hello, my name's Zandor. I'm an MVP from Germany. I'm doing mostly development and architectural related stuff now for a partner, and the last 5 years for an ISV partner, now for an ISI partner. And I am very happy to be here also with Amanda.
Hello, Amanda, Salesforce MVP, looking a little bit different nowadays, but in the meantime, working for Capgemini and other things as well. And on good days, I'm delivering projects, and on other days, I'm doing mostly community stuff, which is fun.
Right, user adoption. You said that, Andre, as if it was a very common term. Usually Ines is the first to point out, so what's the definition? So when we talk about user adoption, I think about happy users back in my admin days. So when I was still at a customer, and they liked mostly, otherwise we talked and tried to improve, but they liked using the tool because because why? Different people have different answers to that, but I think one of the general things was it makes my daily life easier. Is that a common notion for user adoption, or is it more for you? Is this statistical things like feedback questionnaires?
I think for me, it's the basic element of just because you build something doesn't mean they're going to come. And therefore, you need to get them to log in. They need to get them to use the system. They need to know that the system that you've built for them is actually working for them. And actually the processes that you've defined as part of that implementation were actually right, and not just one person's head, but actually right for the business. And how do you get them to use that? And then you can use what tools can you help to measure, are they using that system, and are they using the system correctly? So that can be like reporting to check on logging in, or whether they are. We can talk about that, but it's the fact of, are they logging in? Are they using the system? Is it doing the right job for them? Is it then helping to save their time? So I think we can hit from Ines on all those sort of things. Is it, is it the most efficient thing here? And is it being updated regularly? Because business processes change. And as people start using things, they get ideas about like, oh, we could do it like this way, we can do it like that way. How do you help with that when it comes to like product roadmaps of future implementations? But certainly for me, right now with a particular client, it's the first piece. We've built something based on what managers have wanted because they wouldn't give us access to the lower level people. And now we've got this issue that people are not even logging in. But also those clients who are also very protective won't help us actually get them to log in the first place. That's their, this is our job. We're doing that. We're going to get them to log in. Yeah, but you're not there, are you? How do you work on that? That's the hardest part, getting them to log in, I think.
So what's your next steps on that? How are you going to get them to log in?
Well, like I say, we've got this barrier to the end users. So at the first point, it's the gentle conversations with those managers who feel that they have a handle on this and have control on this, and that they're doing all their tasks and they're doing this. And it's like, are you though? Because here's some reports of adoption reports, of login reports, of just going, these people aren't. So how are you getting to do that? Can we help you with any way here? And just always have that offering of help hand, whether that's, can we offer you some more training sessions here? Can we get people to come in to learn stuff, to make them aware that it isn't scary what we've built. It's just different and it's new. And this is part of your task. These people we all have our daily habits. We'll get up, we'll have a morning coffee, we'll log into our emails. We need to add that task of, right, great, you log into emails, that's lovely. Now I need you to now log into Salesforce as well and see what tasks are there as well, and maybe action those tasks. And to have that process linked in and become part of a habit forming element. Even if they only spend half an hour a day in Salesforce to do those tasks, it's a starting point of knowing that. Even if they are still very much wedded to their emails, because that's part of their business, to know that there's a task, because we've done all these email notifications which are going to drive them crazy over time. But this is what was requested. So it's always being there with that hand. Yes, Sander.
I still feel it depends. No, I feel the context is not properly set yet for us a little bit, because there are different levels and my general term is now just user adoption. And a story that I heard currently was, okay, I'm maybe even large enterprise, so I have many people there. Salesforce is a new system, so I need to drive change management. I need to introduce people to the new stuff, whatever it is. That's one context and one story we can tell. My background is from the ISV, and even as an SI partner, is often that this is a given, like, okay, they want to log in, they are eager to log in, they are there. And then I still see differences in adoption, maybe in terms of this app is used, or this part of Salesforce is used in a good way in terms of reports do their job and are reliable, and another part of Salesforce, a different app, so to say, business different application, doesn't. And there is a level of also asking about user adoption. Is there not, right? It's not just about the first hoop to do, but also the ongoing change. And the question is how do I make a user experience that prepares users for constant change, not everyday change, but every 3 months, every 6 months. We need to change the systems. And for me, it's a question of user experience design, which has many levels, some very technical, some very human-centered. And I'm also a big fan, to make a great shout out to Salesforce and the design people there, because I feel they're doing a great job for me. If I follow those guidelines, and I think Jodie is going to jump in a second, I'm basically safe for most scenarios. And as talking about, look at the blueprints in Salesforce Lightning Design System, read the documentation and the ideas. There's a whole philosophy behind it, and it's usually completely accessible. So it's designed with accessibility in mind, with different form factors, meaning different screen sizes in mind. Lots of things that you get for free that would cost you serious design skills if you build it from scratch.
Yeah.
And those standards, I love them. So that's the thing for me. Standards are something that I would put right in front of user adoptions. Well, use standards, and not your standards that you define in workshops. Use the standards that are already there, and define exceptions and decisions why you made these exceptions. But usually I fend for don't do exceptions at all.
Absolutely, I fully agree. Salesforce gives us that lightning design system on top of all of the other things that they give us to help us build stuff really quickly and easy for our clients. So, you know, they give us the permissioning system, they give us the metadata driven layout and all that sort of stuff. And now they give us the lightning design system. It's amazing how people just want to break, or, you know, not just not follow it and then have exceptions, but just want to go and build their own thing, you know, and like their own colors and interject a whole heap of colors into the system and do all sorts of different things. And it's just like, no, there is a lightning design system for a reason. Now, I could get to the point where we know Salesforce doesn't follow the lightning design system in their own products, but generally speaking, they do. You know, I can tell the difference between, you know, two different icon colors, but generally they do. And generally, so that when we build stuff in, even just in putting together components, or when we build components ourselves, then if we follow that, we've got a good basis on which to start. So that gives us a really good foundation. So fully agree, lightning design system is fabulous.
But then you also have the thing, of course, because now we're talking about inside Salesforce. You know, what Amanda just touched on, people don't log in.
Yeah.
We can have the best tool you can imagine that you know, exactly follows, like, I would say, the new process, because in my experience, no matter how small the change is, when there's a new tool like Salesforce, there's also a new process for some or all of the users. I've seen it quite often that we've designed Salesforce to follow the new process. You know, the end users, they log in usually once, or, you know, during a training, and they were not aware, or they don't accept, or they don't agree with the new process, which means they're still working following a different process, not necessarily the old process. But then Salesforce doesn't support them in that. So they will be the only time they will ever log in. And I think that's when you talk about user adoption, definitely two different approaches, how to get these people to adopt the new process. And only then they can start adopting the new tool.
And I feel like we could link the gap over here between the technology and then the users, that we've been calling them they, but ultimately we together for the same goal, right? So sometimes what I do is show this, and I say, how many times I get updates in here, and how many times I get stopped for a training, or, you know, I get forced to use something in a way and have serious conversations. So it's, how can we make things, we spoke about easy a few times, easier perhaps? How can we look at bridging the gap between a solution being there and the thing fit for purpose, so that it becomes a second nature? I think it is very tricky. It's a simple jump, but it's a very tricky thing to get right. And so far, one of the things that's going around is about being alienated of reality, from trying to do something, trying to solve something, but not being right there to see or to help crafting with is there. And when we talk about users, maybe internal users, maybe community users, maybe applications users, right? There is many things that we can build in the Salesforce technology and around. So how can we help those conversations? At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is communication between applications, between humans, between departments, between organizations. How can we ease those so that we can start small, learn fast, build upon what we learned?
That's interesting, the whole start small thing, because I still think there's a leap with even perception of some companies and some customers of this no concept of MVP, and I mean minimal viable product in this case, because, and especially when you're working with finance systems as well, people who are build a finance system have a zero concept of that. They want absolutely everything in it because they have to get down to the penny or the cent when it comes to it. There's no concept of MVP of like, well, it's about 80% correct. No, you can't have that. So when it comes to delivering a product, it's the idea of what's the concept of the MVP? And they're trying to lift everything and bring everything in of their old world in and their own way. And there's sometimes that communication of, look, it's not going to be perfect at the beginning, but I promise you there's going to be different phases. And the phases will come thick and fast, and you'll get another little tranche and another little tranche, and another little tranche. But it's the idea that whether as a business, they will, one customer I had this whole perception of, I've got to have everything in now on this first phase because there'll never be a future phase. There will never be budget for the next phase. So I've got to get it in now. And I know that then that's done, and I'm having to live with this system. Because there isn't that confidence or that change of philosophy of phases.
But that's fine. Sometimes I find useful to take the words and work around them, right? We don't have to use agile, we don't have to use phases. Right? How can we validate what we are doing? How can we reduce the feedback loop to the smaller piece so that we learn if we're going in the right direction, right? When you need to take the car and go for a trip, you know where you're going. You don't know exactly what you're going to find in the way. You're going to make adjustments. So that's the idea. And with adoption, it's the same. Like imagine all of us, all the MVPs, 200 something people need to learn how to ski. None of us knows how to learn how to ski. And today we're in the mountains. We are ready. Would you chuck us all together down the slope at the same time? What will happen? Is there any way to do it in a way that you help scaling the learning how to ski? I think we should be doing the same in the applications that we do, so that who is going to be using it, and again, for integrations and for many other things that just an internal user, you can use these concepts. How can I validate if we're going in the right direction? Am I building the wrong thing? How can it be easy so that when it goes live, it's here and people are like, ooh, right?
How do we change that mindset though? Because some people, we have the vision to try and break down tasks. We have the vision of knowing that we can use something simple to begin with and then add on to it. Some people are just like, no, I need everything now because I can't do my task now, because this is how they work currently, even if it's badly, even if it's on spreadsheets, they've got all they think they need right now. And then as we move forward in phases, you have a little bit here and a little bit here. And that sort of mid-phase point, and this is where adoption gets wobbly, because we're talking about adoption, don't forget, is the fact of, I need you for the midpoint to be a little bit over here and a little bit over here to do your task, which is messy. And some people don't like that. And then we're dragging them into, okay, I'll improve the next piece. You know, you choose what's the next pain point for you. What do we drag in to help you get there? So we do ask users, businesses, to go on a journey with us, with that leap of moving in from, this is your old world, which might be working back in the times, but isn't working now because of whatever reasons, business change, process, competitors, whatever, you need to make a change. And it's buying into that idea of concept of change. Then we go through this process of, we're doing a first phase delivery, whatever. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to be a bit bumpy, but you're going to be working over here and you're going to be working over here. The next point will be for the next thing, but you will then drive it and you give them the empowerment to help them move forward.
So is there a way of getting people to understand some tangible things? Like a lot of what we do is so ephemeral, it's in the cloud, it's like doesn't feel real. So can we bring that back to some sort of tangible thing? And I hate the word KPIs because we know KPIs are just so misused, and so that people will do what you measure of them.
And their behavior will change because of them as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Good or bad.
Yeah. But one of my very first projects, so we were moving from a paper flow where files went around the office, and that's how the flow went through the office. And we still, like, no matter how much we call digital transformation, we still see this today, right? And so everything was printed out. So I said, after the first 3 months, I want you to see how much paper you feel like you are not using in your photocopier. and see if you can see the physical reduction in how files are moving around the office. And then after 6 months, you want to see that there are no files, actual files, because the files are pretty colored, no actual files moving around the office. And everything is being driven by your Salesforce, we call them queues, but list views, your Salesforce list views, everything is driven by that. Where is this file? And it was still called a file in this, when it was a case in the system. Where is this file now in the system? Because it's in this list view. So I really like that as a very tangible thing, that they could see that they were actually using less paper. Really tiny little thing, but can we bring that sort of, really tangible, it could be like transitioning to electronic signing. My current client I'm not working with, they're still doing physical signing, and now we've got legislation in Australia that says in real estate we can do electronic signing. So we're getting them onto electronic signing. So how do we then say, okay, well, this is 50 contracts that I haven't had to lug home in a box this week, right? Because we're doing electronic signing now. Can we get some of those tangible results, to help people see without KPIs?
What I'm hearing here is to have people, especially in the initial phase, experience value and orientation early on. And I still want to circle back a little bit on what about after initial phase? What about those changes Jodie just mentioned, like legislation changes, which is an external change? But let me stress a little bit that if we decide, well, here's the MVP talking, if we buy Salesforce, we're buying a software as a service. We're buying into one of the core values called innovation. Bottom line, the ideal organization for the tool Salesforce is an organization that learns to adapt and change and learn new things, because technology changes very fast and the world changes very fast. So how do you get change into your DNA, basically? Because that's what I say, design standards are good things, because every app has an OK button and you will always press the OK button there and it will always take you to the next step. That's a good thing. And but the contents will change. And what is a good thing about Salesforce, again, the MVP speaking, is that within the application, within the whole platform thing, change is sometimes not as costly as in other systems. Or change is ingrained in DNA, like our custom fields and custom objects. We can always create new one. We can always delete them. We can change things. And that's why I got very attentive when you said, the customer said, Salesforce is done. You can perceive that, but from a commercial point of view, I think you're losing your return of invest, because there will be Salesforce releases, you like it or not. There will also be some breaking changes, you like it or not. So better to prepare for this constant change. And I'm not saying every 3 months with every Salesforce release, but conceptually in your DNA, in your whole process, in your business, change is something that needs to be constantly driven, taken care of. And I hope that Salesforce makes it easier for people and less scary. That's my hope.
I totally agree with you, but that's the whole concept of change, and change being good and change being part of the business process. It comes from right from the top, and having this idea that at the top of a business, they must embrace the idea of constant change with their own business processes, because they're understanding there are more efficient ways of doing things. And therefore then having the systems to support that, and having people to allow that to happen, and people to enable that to happen at all stages of different, the human processes part and the technical processes part as well. You need those elements in place and installed, and that mindset installed in a business. And I think that was a challenge for still quite a lot of businesses, certainly pre-pandemic. And I think the pandemic has now finally shaken people literally into, you have to change now, you must move now, because if not, you are literally dead in the water. And I think now businesses have started to awaken to that and go, oh, okay, So anything could happen to us. How do we keep on this edge of being able to adapt and be listened to our customers, move forward, keep innovating, keep ahead of our competitors? When beforehand people were very, very comfortable in their bubble of not doing anything different unless they were forced to. The pandemic forced people to do that. I'm hoping that people now stay on that mindset and not go back into the, oh, everything's fine now. It's not. It really isn't. We're on a big change curve now.
When I talk to small businesses who are starting out in Salesforce and they want a budget for implementation, you know, I really try to say, well, you're going to budget X, and I put that number quite big, like 3 times probably more than Salesforce would ever say as an implementation project, because I say we might not get to that. We might not. We'll just decide what we're going to do as we go along. What is your requirement? What is your absolute needs first? Because you're going to need that budget for any future changes that we make anyway. So really absolutely setting themselves up that this is not a one and done thing, that we absolutely need to budget for Salesforce, a Salesforce, if they don't have a Salesforce administrator, because a lot of my clients don't have Salesforce administrators, we need to budget for ongoing things. And so I will only price my work to them, to small organizations, at a like a monthly retainer type of a thing, so they know that they've got someone they can call up at any time when things go wrong, or when breaking changes like Winter 23 is going to break things with enhanced domains. We know that. So we're going to have to, ensure that all of the orgs we look after are sorted, and they know that they can call, they have someone to call. So that, and then as things change, like legislation changes or anything like that, they know that they've got someone to call. So that's really important. I think this whole business has changing thing is vital to this, and bringing that back to user adoption. It's not as what Zandor said, it's not about user adoption in the first instance, it's about user adoption every single day. So what I want to ask is, I've got some things that I do. What do you do to help people to not live in their emails, to log into Salesforce every day, to ensure that Salesforce has been updated? What little tricks do you put in your Salesforce orgs to do that? Because for me, it's just like chatter. Chatter's the number one. I do everything via chatter. So what else do you do?
Well, I will say that this particular client I'm on does not accept chatter. Chatter is not switched on. Good old investment banks, fear and all this new stuff. No, so they live in their emails. We are using their inboxes. We designed our implementation where they had notification after notification. And even when I was going through the design phase with them, they're going, you do realize you're going to have so many emails. You're going to have like 50 emails a week going to per person about this. You haven't done this, you haven't done this, have you done this, have you done this? Go, bing. And they're like, no, that's absolutely fine. We need all this stuff. Well, you don't, but okay. And then within a month, going, we've got too many emails. Really? That's interesting. Gosh, what happened there then?
If we have email notifications, I will only put a link to the record, like a heading and a link to the record. I won't give them any more details in the email notifications other than click here.
Exactly. Oh no, the whole email notification thing is the fact of you must go into the system here, click here.
Yeah.
This is a very transitional period, but I think this is also what's not helping their adoption in the first place. They don't have to log into Salesforce because they've got a notification until they got a click, and therefore they're dragged in to go. And we haven't done create the habit of coffee, inbox, Salesforce, and go in there and do all your stuff. So, it stopped at the beginning because this is how the customer designed it, and they wouldn't listen. Yes, Zandor.
So I love that story. Again, I'm having it with stories today. Salesforce as a very central piece of your business, where most of your departments reside, etc. Now, my daily business is one of many SaaS tools. So to speak for, I love chatter, right? In my organization, when we were mostly 100% Salesforce company, sales was driven by Salesforce, service was driven by Salesforce, email notifications, maybe management with some crunched numbers or something, but usually not users. But in my current role, feel I need that central hub of something, because I'm getting Jira stuff, I'm getting Salesforce stuff, I'm getting GitHub stuff. Everyone has its little tiny notification bubble, and everyone has its tiny little app that I could put on my phone and have gazillions of notifications per day. That's to me an open discussion. I have no solution for this. I'm just not feeling comfortable anymore with the story I felt comfortable in the past, naming go away with email notification. Well, the number of SaaS tools has exploded in recent years in a company.
Is that where they say Slack is going to be the answer to this?
There we go.
But then Slack is just another. I have probably 150 inboxes on Slack, you know, with the 8 or 10 Slacks that I follow, and every single one of them is just an inbox there with an unknown quantity of notifications in there that I've got to look at, that I want to look at. And that's not just, and I don't use Slack currently for any work stuff, right? It's just all the social stuff, but I still cannot see Slack as being a tool that will help me work. I still can't see it. I can't see how I'm going to edit the Salesforce record from within Slack. Even though Winter 23, I think in the release readiness, we'll see some of this. It's starting to come in now. We'll see some of this about what their plan and vision is for how you edit the Salesforce record from within Slack or get that notification in Slack. And let's not delve into a whole Slack, you know, versus chatter thing. But I still don't see it's the answer getting us out of our inbox. It's just another inbox.
Used Slack at one of my previous companies. We had Slack as a great communication tool for the whole business, and it was irrespective of you or then also a Salesforce user. And so we used Slack for raising any HR queries or IT requests, and that actually turned into Jira things. But it was a great tool in that respect of keeping the company abreast of fun things and useful things and important things. I think Slack could integrate with Salesforce for things like case management if you want to inform another team who isn't using Salesforce. I think that could be, I think there's some real great tools there as well. So I think there's potential. And of course, let's face it, don't forget, Salesforce spent a lot of money on this tool. They need to get their money, their return on investment on it. And I think it could help with adoption elements as well. They're moving away from emails. We're going to live in a world of Slack, and then Salesforce as well, and update things as well. It's like email integration tools, isn't it? They're people who are used to living in their inbox and can update their records of Salesforce from within their email console, because that's their world they live in. They don't work on Salesforce. They don't want to log into Salesforce, where you kind of are by doing this console tool as well.
For your difficult clients that won't use chatter, do you push them to use their side panel in Outlook or Google?
Yes, absolutely.
Help them?
Yeah, so email integration. So therefore you will get that data into Salesforce, because they're updating you need their contacts. You need to know that they're doing their opportunity updates. You can get that stuff in. So there's an element of adoption. This is one way of adoption, by stealth, effectively, because they are updating Salesforce without them maybe really feeling they're in Salesforce, because they're in their inbox.
Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, the stealth part is something that I don't like about it, right? But yeah, you need to yay people, right? And if that makes them feel yay and works for the business, awesome. I'm a little bit looking as a timekeeper to say, okay, we're nearing end of our session. Maybe time to wrap it up. I'll start gladly with one question and then 2 sentences. It's a short question. Is Salesforce on mobile a thing for you?
I'm building a flow at the moment to replace a field service app, not Salesforce's field service, and I'm quite liking it. What I'm doing is hiding and showing different parts of the page, like hiding the details page when my flow's on the page. So when the record is in progress and they're using the flow to interact with the record, I'm hiding the details page, but keeping chatter there because I like to use chatter. So I've got just the highlights panel, the flow, and chatter, and that is it. It's on the page. Everything gets hidden, and then automatically everything comes back, and the flow goes away when the record is into complete mode. So again, it's and what I found also is that I hadn't looked at mobile before, and you have to build the mobile interface completely specifically for the mobile interface. Anything you do on the desktop is not going to relate to mobile, and that's why I've never really touched it before, because it's a whole other implementation, right?
It is.
I'm taking one object here and just really trying to hone in on this one object and how we're going to use this one object. But I now need to know I've got to do the parent object too. I'm going to need to make some quick action buttons and all this other stuff, because everything as soon as they start touching it here, they're going to want to go elsewhere. And actually, I really do like the Salesforce mobile app. I haven't tried it on the new tablet experience yet, but I actually do like it. And but the thing is, at the moment, we've got no dynamic forms in mobile yet, and so until dynamic forms are in mobile, I like this flow. I could have built it all in dynamic forms, but it's not available on mobile yet. So I'm spending a whole lot of money right now, because we've got a business reason to do this right now. So spending a whole lot of money right now building flows, and we could do it in dynamic forms if that was available on mobile. So, but just the thing is, do not underestimate how much the mobile experience needs to be customized as well as the desktop experience.
And I do agree with you very much so there, and the fact of it is a second implementation, and that's often the budget too far with customers. You try and get them, it's all about desktop. So in my world at the moment, it's all about desktop side of things, and especially as they have work mobiles, which might be very restricted as well. Therefore, it really isn't even a conversation. But other customers, they don't appreciate that. Well, it's all Salesforce, and Salesforce, it's mobile, and it's, you can just chuck it on your, it's all browser based. Well, yes, you can be a browser based experience. It's not an app based experience, different world. And yes, you can do your little compact page layouts, but that's still all these additional things, and you still use your phone differently than you would on a desktop experience. And that I think you are shortchanging the mobile experience if you just try and whack it in at the same time, because of the different experience you have on a phone.
Yeah.
So I think it's always a secondary thought and a last thought.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And does having the mobile increase the user experience, the user adoption? Will people go in and edit contact details? Like, so the ideal experience is they've gone out to meet someone, and they immediately write their chatter post. Do not write notes after a meeting experience. Never. They immediately update their chatter post directly in the car as soon as they finish that meeting with a client. Right? That's the ideal experience for the mobile app. Is that happening? Do you see that happening?
Oh, Andre is saying yes. Go on, Andre. Give us a positive experience.
Yeah, now I've noticed now with a customer where we're working on Sales Cloud implementation, and it really is about opportunity and account management, and the majority does not work the way you just described, Jodie. But there are a few people that will never log into like the web browser, because they're like, I have my Outlook integration and I have my mobile app. That's all I need. And now we actually use those people with their sort of, let's follow them for a day. That story we actually use as internal marketing for the rest of the organization. That's but
it's
indeed,
good to see that someone's using it.
It's indeed not the majority, but yeah, let's hope. I always hope that by using that kind of stuff, and that's really the positive marketing, which some people call change management, that you have to do an implementation start as early as possible. They'll make it a specific stage within your project, and indeed, even after implementation has finished or gone live, it will keep going forever, just like your data quality. I know I could talk about data quality for a few more hours. We'll have to wrap up, but I think that's one of these other topics that we talked about. The processes and the tooling and everything around it. If that's all amazing, but your data, the users and the people don't actually cannot find the data they're looking for, they cannot change what they want to change and all that kind of stuff, then or of course, more important, talking about top down, the managers who really wanted this implementation, if they cannot get the data, like the management, the steering data and the reports and dashboards, if they can't get it out of the system, it's still kind of useless, if you ask me.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think what we've said is data quality, a topic for another day. I think that's absolutely, let's have a proper topic for that, because I think data, the whole point of these systems in the first place, data. Come on then, send us home at 10 o'clock.
Exactly. All right.
Yes,
So
everyone got his last words. I said everything what I had to say. Everyone else is happy as well.
I think
Ines
that's
has
a
spoken
great
for a
topic,
moment.
and we know that we can just speak on this for another 3 hours, and the thing is, why I love these talks is because we're all at different business experiences, large organizations, small organizations, ISVs, SI partners, and it shows you the absolute wide range that Salesforce is. It can be so many things to so many people. And Salesforce has this tendency to only have these very narrow personas of the people that use their product. And we've got to push those boundaries all the time. And we've got to make things, do things for our clients that helps them for their needs. And if their needs are that they're in the inbox, we're going to fight and continue fighting to get them out of their inbox. But in the first time, in the first instance, we'd actually need to give them stuff in their inbox.
Yeah. Transition.
It's all about the context, right? No one fits all.
Yeah.
And with that, thank you everybody for being with us while we are running through. Just pop your questions and comments in the comments box, and we see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
thank you.
Bye.